Hi, I'm Jenny Fillius, and today I'm going to tell you how to create a 3D element with your 2D tin work. There are a number of different ways to do it, and I have a couple favorite ways. One is just using blocks of wood. This was a wind-up toy I took apart, and then inside are just a couple little blocks of wood, and it was hammered down, and it worked great. You can get blocks like this, or maybe like this, in the toy sections of thrift stores. And they're inexpensive, they're easy to use, just drill them and it's great. The other thing, well, what I used to do was, and I learned this from Ross Palmer Beecher, she's a tin artist who I adore, was to use copper tubing, excuse me, like they use putting in the ice maker for your refrigerator. It's a very thin tube pipe, and getting a pipe cutter and cutting little sections. Well, you know, that didn't work so well for me because frankly I wasn't that good at keeping them consistent. But I came up with using just a strip of tin, and it works really well, and I'll show you how to do that. I did that with this piece, and these elements are actually pop riveted onto a piece of an erector set. And then I did the little tubes of tin. Can you see that in there? To keep it so that it sticks out. Also, if you have something like butterflies, you can just hammer it down in the middle, and then, ooh, this is quite dusty. Just pull them out, whether it's tin bees or dragonflies, anything like that, and it makes a nice little 3D element on your work. So I'll show you about that. Have a look. Okay, so using a strip of tin, we're going to make tubes. When you have a piece that's actually this large that you want to make stick out, I would probably use 6 or 7 pieces to do that, to support it properly. But since we're just going to do this quick and dirty, I'll show you how to do 2. So you're going to take a length of tin. Now, the strip of tin is going to be the height that you want it to be. So this looks like it's about 3/4 of an inch. And then you're going to take about 1.5 inches or 1.25 inches, and you're going to take your needle nose pliers and just curl it into a tube little by little. And you probably want to wear gloves while you're doing this. Rio Grande Jewelry Supply online has some really nice pliers that would work way better than this, but most people have needle nose pliers, so I'm just showing you with the needle nose pliers. Okay, so once you have your 2 tubes, or you know, in this case maybe 7, depending on what you're trying to make 3D, you're going to want to put your nails through the holes that you've made in your tin. And then you'll slip those tubes over the nails and then nail it down. But what you want to do first probably is to take the piece of tin that has the holes in it. Now see, because we're not concerned about that here because we're just going to pound it into wood. But when you're doing it on tin, you want to lay that over your tin, and then using your awl, make a couple dents wherever, make a dent wherever the nail holes are, and then go ahead and take your piece off, and then go ahead and use your awl and make holes in it, and then you'll be lining up your piece. So, okay, so we got the 2 things on there. We're going to hammer it down. Sometimes it goes a little crooked and you have to kind of adjust it. But it's a great way to make it so that your tin work has a 3D element and works quite nicely. And so anytime you're doing it, you probably don't ever want to just do 1 because you'll get flip-flop. So have at the very least, have 2. And that'll keep it in place, doing what it needs to be doing. So yeah, see, that's pretty good. It sticks out and it's supported. Oh, it's a little crooked. I'm telling you, this is down and dirty. I'm not doing expert stuff here. I'm just giving you the idea of what you can do yourself. Okay? Okay. So we're going to be moving right along into the next thing. The next thing I'm showing you is a tin lid. attaching that. And what you want to do with that, because it's so easy to make a mistake and hammer on top of it and dent it, you want to first take it, the top of it, and just make a couple little light taps with your awl where your nails are going to go. Then you're going to flip it over and you're going to see where those little indentations are, and that's where you're going to make your holes. Because if you try to do it from the top, you're just going to dent it all to hell, and it's going to look like trash. It's going to be terrible. So you get your holes in there, and you're all set now. And you get a couple blocks of wood. I'm using 2 little blocks here. I've taped them together. You put that over it and you mark it with your Sharpie so you know where to drill the holes. Get your drill, smallest bit on your drill that you've got. Hopefully it's really tiny, like the nails. And so you drill your holes. Now, if you're doing this and you want to, my guess is that if you're doing this, you have an idea of where it's going to go, and you don't need to do this paper thing. The idea of the paper thing is to mark where the holes are, and then you can mark the holes on your wood where you want your piece to go. But my guess is that if this is a design element on your piece already, then you already know where it's going and you don't have to do this. Or you've already marked the holes in another way. This is kind of like when you put a shelf on the wall, and I don't know, IKEA or one of those places gives you a piece of paper on where to make the holes for your screws. But it works well enough. The problem that I used to have was I would just try and nail it on, and it was a big mess. So having the support of the blocks on the inside really makes all the difference. Because you can really, and then of course, you know, when you're doing this, you want to make sure you've got longer nails so that you have enough nail to go through the blocks and penetrate the wood, or go through the tin and penetrate the wood where you're doing this. And on something like this, two nails is just fine. It's small enough. If it were bigger, you'd probably want more. So it's the same thing as using the tubes, in that you slip the nail through, and then you're going to take the wood and you're going to fit the wood on the nails, and then give it a good hammer so that the nails go through the wood, and then they'll stick out enough for you to hammer it down. It just makes your artwork more interesting. It's less flat. It's got this little added element to it that makes it a little more visually interesting, and I don't know, it's just, I think it's much better if you have the ability to do that. Okay, wacka wacka wacka. So we're getting the nails to go through the block. And you're pushing it down with your thumb. And then you're pretty much golden. There you go. Nothing to it. Okay, I admit this isn't one of my best videos, but at least you get the idea. That's the whole thing behind this. I'm not going to show you how to make masterpieces. That's up to you. So, but if you follow these instructions, you can make really great tin work on your own, and you don't need me to show you in a video what to do. Okay? Alrighty. So that's about it. I think having a 3D element occasionally in your work makes it more interesting. I feel that way about my work anyway, and so I think that those can be useful tips, and I hope you think so too. All right, well, until next time, thanks so much. Remember to like and subscribe.